again, Jamie here, Nerd Pro Quo. Just quick follow-up to the video we did last time about 5 easy hikes, sort of underappreciated hikes that you can do in New York City. Follow-up video that I promised that is arriving incredibly late because I got busy, and video takes a long time to shoot and edit. As you may have noticed, our background has changed. Basically, I was shooting in the tent last time, not outside. That posed some lighting problems, so we're shooting again in a different background. So this video, we're just going to go over some basic hiking stuff, basic things that you would need for a day hike. I'm going to assume, shooting this video, that a bunch of you are probably familiar with a lot of the stuff we're going to go over, but we're going to go over it anyway. It's a little redundant. Everyone covers this stuff, but I'm going to put my own 2 cents into this as we go on. So, yeah. Basic thing, first thing in any hike that everyone should know about are the 7 principles of leave no trace. They're pretty basic. First one is plan ahead and prepare. Basically, if you can, bring a friend or tell a friend. That's a big part of planning ahead and preparing. Second one is travel and camp on durable surfaces. Basically, stay on trail. That's all that really means. We'll get into, in a later video, a little bit more detail on camping on durable surfaces. That's a little bit different. Dispose of waste properly. Whatever you bring in, take out. That is really the basic principle of that one. You can learn, leave no trace is a whole thing on the internet. They have more details on all of this, but that's basically what it is. Minimize campfire impacts. We're not really going to cover that in this video. That's going to be in a future video. Probably more than one video, because, full disclosure, I stink at starting campfires. At least, I used to be really good at it. We won't get into that, but that is a whole separate video that we'll go into. Respect wildlife. That one should be obvious. I know we're basically all going outside because we're trying to appreciate nature and wildlife. Ooh, look, there's an airplane in the background that you may or may not hear. We are still pretty low-tech here at Nerd Pro Quo at starting our videos. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about when we get done with this is we're still pretty low-tech. Videos will go a little bit better as future goes on. As you may have noticed, I'm not really editing these. I'm just throwing things in as they come up. Be considerate to other visitors. Another one that should be obvious. Just don't be a jerk when you're on the trail. Generally, you should find that when you're hiking, other hikers are pretty nice to you. Should be pretty good. So, next thing we're going to go over, basic checklist for your day. So, some of the stuff you're not going to need. Some of it is a good idea to have, especially for that last one from the previous video, which there will be a link under all this in the details for this video. Especially for Harriman, there's some stuff that you should definitely bring along you, but for most of the hikes in the previous video, you're probably not going to have, some of the stuff you're probably not going to need. So, first thing I'm going to cover is trekking poles, and we're going way out of order on all of this, by the way. So, trekking poles, basically, you, yay or nay, really? Honestly, I love me some trekking poles. They distribute the weight of whatever you're carrying and however much distance you're doing all over your body, because I'm a little bit older. Full disclosure, I'm going to be 40, probably by the time this video goes up. So, yeah, not destroying your knees, probably a good idea. But it's really up to you whether you want to bring trekking poles or not. You can get them relatively cheaply. The cheapest ones I've seen have been around $50 or $60. We're going to be doing a gear review in a future video of a pair that I really, really recommend. But yeah, for especially stuff like North 40, natural area, you're probably not going to need trekking poles. Anything where you're not really climbing, you probably won't need the trekking poles, but I feel that they're really handy to have around, so there's that. Like I said, we're going completely out of order here, but the first thing you're definitely going to need is a day pack. However you want to do your day pack is up to you. Most people go backpack, whether you want to go frameless or framed. Honestly, on a day hike, you're probably not going to need a frame because you're probably not going to be carrying enough. Just something that's comfortable on your back, has, you know, big enough straps. I don't recommend, like, some people go as low as doing like a drawstring carry sack. I don't recommend that because it's going to get uncomfortable on your shoulders. Also, along with the sling backs that go on one shoulder, depending on the distance that you're doing, I don't really recommend those. So basically, your day pack is a backpack. Whatever your comfortable day pack is, that's going to be totally fine. There's a whole bunch of considerations that, you know, you can go into getting a backpack. But honestly, since this is a basic, you know, day pack type of thing, any backpack is going to be fine for you. So next thing we're going to talk about is clothing and footwear. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about types of shoes and stuff like that in a little bit, but basically, unless you're like hiking, especially like North 40 natural area, the Inwood Park, just a comfortable pair of shoes, like running shoes, should be fine. In North 40 natural area, Alley Pond Park, I'd recommend something with some traction, so basketball shoes really aren't going to cut it. Running shoes, probably trainers, especially cross trainers. So if you have a pair of cross trainers, you should be fine for most of the hikes that you're going to do. A couple things like, so for the really basic hikes, just comfortable shoes and comfortable clothes are necessary, but some stuff you might want to consider: warm weather, synthetic material, stuff that wicks, that dries really quickly, like t-shirts, shorts, pants, all that kind of stuff that like dry, because, you know, you're going to get sweaty, or if it rains, you know, you're going to want stuff that kind of, you know, once you stop hiking, maybe it dries pretty quickly, because wet clothing, especially if it like starts to get a little colder, you're going to be miserable. And also when you're sweaty, if you're sitting for a while, cotton takes some people, if you're starting hiking, you don't know this, cotton takes a really long time to dry. So yeah, synthetic materials, polyester, nylon. I know you want to go natural stuff. You can get stuff that's a blend. You can Google stuff. I'm going to provide some links at the end of this. You know, just check the info for this video. There's going to be some links to some stuff that you can get. The stuff that dries pretty quickly is generally a good idea. If it's colder, long sleeve shirts, you know, pants, same deal. Comfortable socks. I mean, honestly, at this point, the amount of time I've been backpacking and hiking, I just basically recommend hiking socks to everyone. Yeah, merino wool if you can get it, but synthetic, same deal. Try and find socks that are quick drying. You know, like I said, merino wool is, you know, the gold standard for this kind of stuff, but I now, at this point, I just recommend everyone just, like, they're more expensive. You're talking like, you know, anywhere from $8 to like $26 for one pair of socks, which seems like a lot, but believe you me, once you buy them and you start using them on a really regular basis, they're totally worth it. I would say that good socks, possibly more than anything else that you're going to purchase, even if you're just starting hiking and it's just really basic, like the 5 that were in the previous video. God, good socks are an absolute must. So if nothing else, if you're going to cheap out on everything else, get yourself some decent socks. And you know, if you're only using them for the times that you hike, trust me, getting 2 pairs of socks, or, you know, if you're just day hiking, even if it's 1 pair of socks, a couple of the companies, especially Darn Tough out of Vermont, they're really expensive. You know, when you consider they're just socks, they're like $20 to $26 socks, but they have like a lifetime guarantee. If you wear through them, they'll just replace them for you. Like, trust me, they are worth the price. So that is socks. Well, if you think you're going to be in wet conditions, hiking boots are a good idea. There are a handful of them. Like I said, we could do an entire separate video on hiking boots, and we probably are going to do an entirely separate video on hiking boots, but for now, if you're just starting hiking and you don't see that you're going to be doing a lot of miles or you're going to be hiking like super regularly, you can get a decent pair of hiking boots or hiking shoes from anywhere from $50 to about $100. If you can, go Vibram's outsole. The Vibram outsoles, the rubber outsoles, last a lot longer than your standard, like synthetic plastic or plastic is usually what it's made out of when it's on the cheaper end, like trail runners. A lot of the cheaper trail runners, you're going to see that like the outsole is going to fall apart. Basically, everything is going to fall apart. If you think you're going to be hiking more often than not, invest in something. I will tell you, Vibram outsoles, and basically, with few exceptions, this is going to sound like, especially for people who are super budget-minded, anything under $100 is probably going to fall apart after a year, or possibly even sooner. There are some other companies, depending on, like I said, where you're hiking, how much you're hiking, even some of the higher-end stuff is going to fall apart after a year. And like I said, we're going to do a separate video about that. But, yeah, differing opinions on this, but if you're just starting hiking, one gold standard that everyone seems to love, they love the Merrell Boots line. I love them for regular, just day hiking. They're fine. You can get them, depending on where you get them, you can find them on sale. Try and find a used pair. I mean, REI has a used portal, and if you can find them in your size, you can get them actually pretty cheap, like $60. You can do that. New ones are anywhere from $80 to $140. They're super comfortable, have like no break-in time. They do not sponsor me. This is not a sponsored thing. I highly recommend them for people starting hiking. If you're hiking a hell of a lot, I mean, people love them, especially I've seen that people 50 and older tend to really love the Merrell boots. It's because they're super comfortable, they run a little wide, they have great like support, generally speaking, like the insoles are going to be pretty great. Although I will recommend any shoe you get, if you're hiking pretty regularly, get a pair of better insoles, athletic insoles. If you want to get super expensive, you can go like Super Feet, which are like $50 insoles, but that's only if you're going to be hiking a lot. But I do recommend, just for cushioning, as me personally, but I highly recommend for everyone else, athletic insoles and everything if you're going to be hiking on a regular basis. So yeah, Merrells. The downside to the Merrells is because they're so comfortable, they tend to like wear down, especially on the inside, a lot quicker. Another sort of cheap ones, especially like waterproof, like super waterproof ones, are the Columbia Newton, I believe there's going to be a link down. The Columbia Newton Ridge. I really love them. I really like the traction on them. I think they're super comfortable, especially if you replace the insole. The insole is kind of thin. You do need to treat them. Anything that you're going to be walking in muddy conditions or wet conditions, even if it says that it's waterproof, spray it with some waterproofing. Everyone forgets to do this. Even stuff that says it's waterproof, spray it with some waterproofing. It'll help. Let it cure for a night. It'll be great. Yeah, the Columbia Newton Ridge, I highly recommend. They're a great starter. They are going to wear out if you're hiking on a regular basis. They are going to wear out and get really soft and floppy in about a year, 6 months to a year. So, and they're $80, 60 to $80, depending on which ones you get. I recommend that you get, weirdly, I would rarely suggest that you get a particular color, but the black ones, the curing on the black ones, the waterproofing is better. I don't know why. Maybe it's the dyeing process that makes the material sturdier and more waterproof. But yeah, all of the other colors are a little bit more flimsy. The suede ones are the flimsiest of all. So just be aware of that. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by or supported by any of these companies. I'll have a couple more suggestions of shoes in the links below on this. So, next thing that you're going to want to consider, I know I have, so what I'm doing now, full disclosure, is checking. I actually have a script for this one. So yeah, the next thing you're gonna, snacks and water. The biggest thing that people I have noticed that they forget when they are, well, two things. But one of the biggest things is people never bring enough water. You should have, no matter what the length of your hike is, at least a liter of water that you're carrying on you in a water bottle. I don't care the length or the temperature of the day. In the warmer weather, you might want to go even more. I know it's more weight in your pack, but time and time again, I've encountered people on the trail who are not carrying enough water. So overload on water, if anything. I know, like, a lot of really experienced, like, people want to go ultralight. Everyone wants to go ultralight. Don't go ultralight on your water. Always bring more water than you need. Always bring a little bit more food than you need if you're bringing snacks, because, you know, hiking burns a lot of calories, so you should bring, bring more snacks than you need. Bring stuff that's calorie dense, also is another thing. I love ClifBars. They have a little bit too much sugar. Some people are going to be a little bit, that's going to throw a couple more people. I love ProBar. They are a little bit more expensive than, most people are used to. They're like $3 a bar, which is a lot, but they're really calorie dense. Again, neither of these companies sponsor me, although hello, maybe you want to. But I highly recommend you. Also, in a future video, we're going to be covering some of these bars, and also I'm going to cover a recipe for how you can make them at home. Because a couple of these, if you look at them, like the way they're constructed, you can actually do these create your own. A lot of people do their own trail mix. That's a great idea too, but if like a bar is a really efficient way for you to get the calories in, I definitely have a recipe, more than one recipe, for no-bake energy bars. So we're going to definitely be doing that. In fact, I might even throw a link for someone who already has a recipe for one of those. But yeah, we're going to be doing a whole video on that. So snacks. Other thing, maps. Whether they're physical maps or digital maps, I love, I use AllTrails. A lot of people use AllTrails because you can get it for free. The problem with AllTrails is they'll have the trails. Sometimes they don't have all of the trails of where you're going. Sometimes the trails of where you're walking aren't on AllTrails. They don't have color distinction. So if you're getting the free version of AllTrails, be aware this is a lot of information that is not in there. Especially if you're in some place like Harriman and you're using AllTrails, they do not make distinctions of color or shape of the trail markings. So it'll show you where the trails are, but they don't make distinctions of what the trail names are. None of that is on the free version of AllTrails, so you can very much get lost with that. Also, a place like Alley Pond Park, it's pretty good, but they don't have all that, and not all the trails. Some of them are just like side roads that people have made, so it's not as reliable. I recommend that, especially in a place like Harriman, spend the money, download Avenza maps on your phone, just get the map of where you're going so you can check the phone, use the GPS so you can know where you're going. If there are physical little maps available, physical maps are great. Like I said, I highly recommend Avenza maps. Just spend the money. I know it's annoying. Everyone wants stuff for free that they can use the app on their phone. Big mistake that a lot of people I know, especially people hiking for the first time in a place like Harriman, do not rely on Google Maps. Google Maps does not have trails. Google Maps will miss. Another big thing that people don't take into account is elevation gain. On a map, especially a topographic map, you can get topographic maps generally for free on Avenza, but the trail maps, actual trail maps, have elevation gain and loss. We will do a little short video probably in the future about how to read those, but a lot of people use Google, and Google will tell you the distance. It won't have any of the trails because Google Maps does not have trails. It just has the roads. So the amount of time that it tells you, the distance that it tells you, are all going to be completely inaccurate. If it tells you that it's 2 miles, it could be 2 miles uphill, which means that there's a lot, it's going to take you a lot more time to do that distance. Again, this is a thing that I've encountered when people first start hiking. They start looking at Google Maps or they pre-plan their trip and they see the distance, but because whatever the map they're looking at doesn't have topographic information, or they just don't know how to read or what topographic map information is, it's like elevation and vegetation and all that, that will factor in that 2 miles of hiking, especially if it's up, is going to feel like 4 miles, especially if you're not used to hiking. And that's just facts. It's going to feel like a lot more distance, so you have to be aware of that. That's also part of prep. Some other stuff. If you're bringing food, if you're bringing lunch with you, be a little bit mindful of spoilage, especially if you're bringing like a full lunch. Like I said, bring more than you need. Hiking burns a lot of calories. A couple places, especially the places that I suggested in the last video, almost all of the maps are available either through the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. A lot of them are available for free. The whole Harriman map is not, but if you're going to be hiking in Harriman, I don't care where, doesn't matter where you're going, spring for that. I think it's like $12 on Avenza Maps, or $12, you can order it from the Trail Conference. If you're going to Harriman, you should have the map of the whole place. I don't care how short your hike is going to be, trust me, you're going to need that. Some other stuff that you might want to bring, especially if you're going to be going out to Harriman, or you're going to be out all day, a headlamp. Don't depend on the light from your phone, because holding up your phone, you might need your hands. If you think you're going to be out for a really long time, especially like I said, if you're going pretty far, a place like Garrison, Hudson Highlands State Park, Harriman, bring a headlamp just in case you need to navigate back to the train station in the dark. It's a really good idea. A little pocket knife is also a really good idea. You never know when you're going to need to strip something or cut a string. It's just a handy idea. I like to have redundancy in my map, so I often have the digital map and the physical map, and sometimes more than one map. You don't have to do that. I like doing that. A lot of the maps, like Alley Pond Park and all that, they are available on the Parks Department website. You can just go to New York City Parks Department. Almost all of the maps of all of those places are on there. You can get them for free. You can get a PDF, put it on your phone, look at it. It's not going to give you GPS information, so it can't actually guide you, but it can give you reference. Also, all the New York State Parks, New York State Park and Department of Environmental Conservation has a lot of those parks on there too. If you're going completely digital with your map, I highly recommend you bring a portable charger for your phone. A lot of those apps, especially if you keep them open, are going to eat up a bunch of battery power, so bring a portable charger with you. Doesn't matter really what it is, because unless you're doing overnight or you're doing really hardcore hiking, which this video isn't for, any old battery charger. It's just a good idea to have a portable battery charger on you for your phone. I know a lot of people just have them in general. Sun protection and bug spray. Doesn't matter if it's cold out, doesn't matter if it's above 60 degrees, put some sunblock on your face and on the back of your neck. If you're wearing short sleeves, put it on your goddamn arms. I'm sorry, I use that type of language. You can notice some of these videos aren't going to be super duper family friendly, but yeah, use sunblock. Burning skin cancer is not cool. So bring, not only put it on before you go out, but bring a little thing of it and throw it in your bag. It's fine. Bug spray, especially at all of the places that I suggest that are in that previous video. Mosquitoes and ticks are a big old thing in there, especially because in the parts of the trails that some of those trails, parts of those trails aren't super duper maintained well, especially the nature trail up by Alley Pond Park. Check yourself for ticks afterward. I think I mentioned this, or during, periodically check yourself for ticks, but spray yourself with some bug spray. Bring a little thing of bug spray with you. Again, it's not that expensive. Really great thing to have in your bag. So yeah, some stuff that you might want to have, especially for Harriman. I mentioned a headlamp, an emergency shelter. Good idea. You can get an emergency bivy. which is the thing you just put on to keep you warm, or like a tarp to throw over yourself. It's up to you whether you want to bring it with you, but like I said, if you're going as far as Harriman and you get lost and you get stuck there overnight, you know, it's the little emergency bivy that I think Sol makes it, SOL. You can get it for like 12 to 16 bucks. Just pop it in your bag. Weighs nothing, and it's a good thing to just have just in case. Like I said, extra food or water, a lighter, a match, and fire starter. Also, for everything except Harriman in the previous thing, you're probably not going to need all of those things, but if you like to feel safe about these things, pop them in your bag. They weigh nothing. On the note, bring more water than you need. So this is not something that's going to come up in even Garrison unless you're going up into Hudson Highlands Park. A water purifier, some sort of thing. The tablets, you know, that you pop in your water. It's a good idea, especially, you know, hot summer days in Harriman. If you didn't bring enough water with you, bring some, like those 2 little things of water purifier tablets, or like something like a Sawyer micro squeeze.